The hidden purpose, why your journey has been hard until now. My beloved child, before you judge your life, before you decide that the struggle was pointless, listen carefully. The reason your journey has been hard until now is not random, and it was never meant to break you. Every delay, every closed door, every moment where nothing made sense was shaping something inside you that comfort never could. Most people never realize this, because they quit too early or numb themselves with distractions. But you kept going, even when you didn't understand why. That alone separates you. What if I told you the pain wasn't punishment, but preparation? What if the confusion was a filter, removing everything that couldn't survive where you're headed? Right now, it might feel like life has been unfairly heavy on you, like others were handed shortcuts while you were forced to walk barefoot on broken ground. But difficulty is selective. Life only presses this hard on people it expects something from. Don't skip, because the part you're about to understand is the part most people never hear, and it explains why quitting was never an option for you, even on your worst days. There is a hidden pattern most people miss. Easy paths create fragile minds. Comfortable seasons produce shallow vision. You were denied ease on purpose, because ease would have made you small. Every time you thought you were falling behind, you were actually being slowed down so you could see deeper. While others were racing forward blindly, you were being forced to develop awareness, patience, and control. That loneliness you felt. It was training you to stand without applause. The repeated failures. They were teaching you precision. The long silence after your efforts. That was building emotional endurance most people never develop. Here's the shocking truth. If life had given you what you wanted earlier, it would have ruined what you're capable of becoming now. Some people are introduced to success early because they are meant to stay average. Others are delayed because their impact would be too dangerous if they weren't refined first. Stay till the end, because this is where the meaning flips. The struggle wasn't slowing your life, it was sharpening it. And here's the once-in-a-lifetime realization very few people ever face: not everyone is meant to have an easy beginning. Some journeys are designed to start in chaos so the ending carries weight. Your experiences weren't meant to make sense while you were inside them. They were meant to make sense later, when you look back and realize every hard moment taught you something essential. How to read people, how to stay calm under pressure, how to move without validation, how to survive uncertainty without losing yourself. Something huge is waiting for you, but it only reveals itself to those who didn't collapse when life stayed unclear for too long. The version of you that can handle what's coming could only be built this way. And that's why, no matter how hard it's been until now, it couldn't have been any other way. You don't realize it yet, but the hardest phase of your life was never about suffering, it was about separation. While you were questioning yourself, life was quietly removing things that didn't belong in your future. Certain people faded. Certain opportunities collapsed. Certain dreams broke before they could fully form. And you thought it was loss. In reality, it was protection. If everything had worked out back then, you would have been surrounded by the wrong energy, the wrong expectations, the wrong version of yourself. This is where most people get confused. They think struggle means they're off track. But for a very small group, struggle is the confirmation they are exactly where they're supposed to be. Don't skip, because what you're hearing right now connects directly to why your breakthrough hasn't happened yet, and why it's closer than it feels. There is a reason your growth felt invisible for so long. Some transformations happen loudly. Yours is happening quietly, internally, structurally. Life has been teaching you how to sit with uncertainty without panicking. How to keep moving without applause. How to trust your instincts when no one is guiding you. These are not common skills. These are leadership traits. Impact traits. And here's the shocking part most people aren't ready to accept: the delay wasn't because you weren't ready. It was because what's coming requires a version of you that doesn't crack under pressure. That's why every test repeated itself until you learned the lesson fully. That's why the same type of pain showed up in different forms. It wasn't bad luck, it was unfinished training. Stay till the end, because once you see this clearly, you'll stop asking, "Why me?" and start understanding, "Why only me?" Right now, you might feel like you're standing at the edge of something you can't name yet. That's not anxiety. That's anticipation. Something huge is waiting for you, not as a reward, but as a responsibility. And this is important, so listen carefully. When this video ends, don't just close it and move on. If this message connected with you even a little, share it with someone who's silently struggling. Drop a comment so you lock this realization into your mind. And subscribe, not for motivation, but for alignment, because what's unfolding in your life isn't random anymore. You're not late. You're not broken. You are being shaped for something most people could never handle. And once you step into the next phase, everything you went through will finally make sense. Right now, something inside you already knows this isn't the end of the story. That quiet feeling you can't explain, the one that says, "There's more coming," isn't imagination. It's recognition. You've been walking through pressure for so long that normal life started to feel foreign. And that's not an accident. Ordinary paths stopped fitting you a long time ago. While others were chasing comfort, you were being trained to operate when nothing is guaranteed. That's why your calm grew stronger in chaos. That's why disappointment didn't destroy you the way it destroys others. Don't skip, because the next truth is uncomfortable, but it explains why your life never allowed you to stay small for too long. Here's the surprising reality most people never hear. Your journey stayed hard because ease would have distracted you from your real capacity. Every time things almost worked out and then didn't, your awareness expanded. You learned how fragile plans are. You learned how temporary approval is. You learned how quickly people change when pressure arrives. That knowledge is power. And power always comes at a cost. Life doesn't hand this kind of awareness to everyone, only to those who can carry it without turning bitter. That's why you were pushed to grow emotionally before things improved externally. You were taught patience before speed. Depth before recognition. Control before opportunity. Stay till the end, because once you understand this, you'll stop craving shortcuts and start trusting the timing that shaped you. What you're standing in now is not emptiness, it's the pause before alignment. Everything you lost made space. Everything that didn't work cleared the path. Something huge is waiting for you, but it only meets people who can handle silence without giving up, uncertainty without escaping, and delay without self-destruction. This phase is where most people leave the journey. And that's exactly why you're still here. Not because you're lucky, but because you're built differently. When the next door opens, you won't rush blindly into it. You'll recognize it. And in that moment, the struggle won't feel like wasted time anymore. It will feel like the reason you were ready. At this point, the most dangerous mistake you could make is thinking the hardest part is still ahead. It isn't. The hardest part was surviving without clarity, without reassurance, without results. Most people collapse there. You didn't. And that changes everything. Life didn't keep you in the dark to confuse you, it kept you there to see if you would still move forward without proof. That's rare. That's why your journey felt isolating. That's why encouragement was inconsistent. That's why motivation came and went. You were being tested for internal authority, the ability to trust yourself when nothing external agrees with you. Don't skip, because once you understand this, you'll realize you already crossed the point where most people turn back. Here's the truth that flips everything upside down: the delay protected your future identity. If things had worked earlier, you would have attached your confidence to outcomes. Instead, your confidence was forced to grow from character. From discipline. From restraint. From self-control. That's why when opportunities arrive now, they won't control you, you'll control them. This is the phase where life checks one last thing. Can you stay grounded when things finally start aligning? Can you move forward without rushing, proving, or explaining? Stay till the end, because this realization is the key. The struggle didn't just prepare you to succeed. It prepared you to keep what you succeed at. And listen carefully now, because this matters. If this message connected with you, share it with someone who feels stuck but doesn't talk about it. Leave a comment, not for validation, but to anchor this moment in your mind. And subscribe, because what's unfolding in your life isn't finished yet. Something huge is waiting for you, not in the distant future, but in the version of you that finally understands why it had to be this way. You were never being delayed. You were being refined. And now, you're ready to move differently than ever before. There comes a moment when the noise fades, not because life gets quiet, but because you stop reacting to it. That moment is closer than you think. Right now, something subtle is shifting inside you, not excitement, not fear, but clarity. You're no longer desperate for answers the way you once were. You're no longer chasing signs or forcing outcomes. That's not weakness. That's readiness. The hardest journeys don't end with fireworks, they end with certainty. A calm knowing that you don't need to prove anything anymore. This is where the real transformation locks in. Not when the world finally applauds you, but when you realize you can stand steady whether it does or not. And here's what most people never understand. The reason your path demanded so much patience was because impatience would have destroyed what you're about to step into. Think back to the version of you from the beginning of this journey. That version wanted relief. Wanted results. Wanted things to make sense immediately. If life had answered back then, you would have settled too early. You would have mistaken movement for progress. But now, you see differently. You can sense when something isn't aligned. You can wait without feeling lost. You can walk away without explaining. That's power most people never develop. This is why your growth felt slow. Because it wasn't cosmetic, it was structural. You weren't being prepared to get something. You were being prepared to handle it. And once you understand this, everything changes. You stop rushing. You stop forcing. You stop comparing. Because you know what's built slowly lasts longer than what arrives fast. This is the quiet truth at the end of it all. Your journey wasn't hard because you were weak, it was hard because you were meant to carry weight. Not just success, but responsibility. Not just recognition, but influence. And now, you're standing at a threshold most people never reach, the point where effort meets alignment. Nothing feels chaotic anymore. Nothing feels random. Even the waiting has meaning. When the next chapter opens, it won't shock you. It will feel familiar, like something you've already lived internally. And in that moment, you'll understand why your life demanded more from you than it did from others. Not to punish you, but to prepare you for a life that finally matches the strength you've been building all along. There is a reason your instincts have grown sharper lately, a reason you pause before reacting, a reason silence doesn't scare you anymore. You've crossed into a phase where awareness replaces urgency. Earlier, every delay felt like rejection. Now, delay feels intentional. That shift didn't happen overnight, it was earned. Pressure carved it into you slowly. This is the moment when life stops testing your patience and starts observing your restraint. Can you stay steady when things begin to move? Can you remain focused when distractions return wearing better masks? Most people fail here because they mistake momentum for mastery. You won't. You've already learned how fragile excitement can be, how dangerous impatience is, and how costly emotional decisions become later. That's why your progress felt slow. Not because you were stuck, but because you were being taught to move with control. Don't skip, because this next understanding is what separates temporary wins from permanent elevation. Here's what almost no one is told: when you survive long uncertainty, your mind stops chasing outcomes and starts reading patterns. You notice shifts before they arrive. You sense alignment before it's visible. That's not intuition, that's earned perception. You've seen enough cycles to know that real opportunity doesn't announce itself loudly. It arrives quietly, tests your discipline, and waits to see if you're still the same person who begged for results earlier. That's why nothing dramatic happened yet. Life is watching how you handle calm, how you manage anticipation, how you respond when things finally feel possible again. Stay till the end, because once you understand this, you stop fearing the future. You stop doubting your pace. You stop questioning your worth. You realize the weight wasn't empty, it was loading you with precision. This is the final truth of this phase: the journey was hard because you were being shaped for longevity, not speed. For depth, not noise. For stability, not applause. What's ahead doesn't need a rushed version of you. It needs the composed one you've become. When the door opens, and it will, you won't run through it emotionally. You'll walk through it intentionally. And that's the difference between people who rise fast and fall quietly, and those who rise quietly and stay. Your story hasn't been delayed. It's been structured. And now, everything you've endured becomes the reason you don't lose what's coming next. At some point, you stop asking life for signs, because you become one. That's where you are now. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just unmistakably different. The way you think has slowed down, but sharpened. The way you move has become deliberate. You don't rush conversations. You don't chase explanations. You don't panic when things go quiet. That's not because you stopped caring, it's because you finally understand timing. And here's the truth that hits hard: most people never reach this stage. They stay reactive their entire lives. You didn't. You learned how to hold your ground when nothing was guaranteed. Don't skip, because this next realization explains why the final shift feels subtle instead of explosive. What's about to change in your life won't arrive as chaos or noise. It will arrive as alignment. Things will start fitting instead of forcing. Decisions will feel obvious instead of confusing. And the most surprising part: you won't feel desperate when it happens. You'll feel ready. That's how you know it's real. Everything before this taught you discernment, knowing when to act and when to wait, when to speak and when to stay silent, when to move forward and when to let things come to you. This is why your journey couldn't be rushed. Speed would have robbed you of wisdom. Ease would have weakened your judgment. Delay gave you clarity. Stay till the end, because this is the moment where you realize you were never behind, you were being positioned. And now, listen closely. Something huge is waiting for you, but not in the way you once imagined. It's waiting in the version of you that no longer needs struggle to feel strong. The version that doesn't confuse patience with passivity. The version that trusts their pace without comparison. When the next chapter begins, it won't feel like a miracle. It will feel like confirmation. Confirmation that every hard step, every silent night, every unanswered question built the steadiness required for what comes next. Your journey was hard until now because now, you're finally capable of walking forward without losing yourself. There is a calm settling over you now, and it's not exhaustion, it's certainty forming. You're no longer trying to escape your past or rewrite it. You're finally seeing it as evidence. Evidence that you can endure confusion without losing direction. Evidence that pressure didn't erase your identity, it revealed it. This is the phase where life stops pushing and starts aligning, but only if you don't rush ahead emotionally. Many people sabotage this moment because they mistake readiness for restlessness. You won't. You've learned how to wait without weakening, how to move without forcing, how to listen without doubting yourself. That's why everything feels strangely quiet right now. Quiet doesn't mean nothing is happening. Quiet means the foundation is strong enough to hold what's next. What's unfolding from here won't look dramatic to outsiders, and that's intentional. Loud beginnings attract unstable attention. Yours is designed to build steadily, privately, and with control. The resilience you built wasn't for survival anymore, it's for stewardship. You're stepping into a phase where choices matter more than effort, where Discernment matters more than speed. That's why your awareness increased before your circumstances changed. That's why your mindset shifted before opportunities appeared. You're being trusted with timing now. Trusted not to rush into validation. Trusted not to repeat old patterns just because they're familiar. This is where most people slip back into their old selves. But you've already outgrown that version. You don't chase intensity anymore. You choose alignment. And here's the final realization to carry forward: your journey didn't harden you, it clarified you. You didn't become colder, you became precise. You didn't lose hope, you refined it. Everything you went through taught you how to hold success without letting it own you, how to move forward without needing approval, how to stay grounded when things finally make sense. When the next chapter opens fully, it won't feel overwhelming. It will feel earned. And in that moment, you won't look back with regret, you'll look back with understanding. Because the difficulty was never meant to stop you. It was meant to make sure that when the path finally cleared, you were ready to walk it with strength, awareness, and calm. There is a quiet confidence forming in you now, and it doesn't need permission. You've noticed it in small moments. The way you don't rush to explain yourself, the way setbacks don't shake your core anymore, the way your focus returns faster than before. That's not accidental. That's integration. Everything you learned under pressure is finally sinking into how you think, choose, and move. This is the stage where life stops feeling like a test and starts feeling like a conversation. You're no longer asking, "What am I doing wrong?" You're asking, "What is this preparing me for?" Don't skip. Because the next insight is the one that changes how you approach everything from here onward. Here's the surprising truth: the purpose of your hard journey was never to make you tough, it was to make you accurate. Accurate with people. Accurate with timing. Accurate with decisions. You no longer confuse urgency with importance. You no longer chase what drains you just because it's available. That's maturity earned the hard way. And this is why your next move matters more than ever. Not because you're fragile, but because you're powerful enough to choose wisely now. Many people reach opportunities before they reach self-mastery. You reached self-mastery first. That's why what comes next won't consume you. It will serve you. Stay till the end, because this is where you realize the struggle didn't delay your success, it protected it. What's ahead doesn't require you to become someone new. It requires you to stay exactly who you've become. Calm under pressure. Patient without passivity. Focused without obsession. Something huge is waiting for you, not as a surprise, but as a continuation of the strength you've already built. When it arrives, you won't doubt yourself. You won't rush. You won't look back. You'll step forward knowing that nothing you went through was wasted, and nothing ahead is beyond you. Your journey was hard until now because now, you're finally aligned enough to move forward without losing what matters most.